Welcome to this first webinar, which is one of three fourth pathways students, and the title is Approaching Professors and Building Your Advisory Team. So what we're gonna do today? Well, we have just a welcome from me, more about also what is next in terms of the webinars. Then Katie's going to be talking about the parameters of advising, and we're going to have a faculty. It says faculty, but yesterday my PhD student Leslie said yes to it, so it's faculty and student, and she'll be giving her student perspective. Thank you, Leslie. And we have just a Q&A from you guys. Also, if you want to put your during the panel your questions, or even as I speak or Katie speaks, if you want to put your questions on the chat, one of the faculty or student can answer some of your questions, so feel free to do that. And remember, if you have a question, other people might have the same, so it's very beneficial for everyone. And we'll do a quick closing in terms of next steps. So again, as I said, this one is the first one of these bi-monthly webinars that we have. So the next one is going to be on August 28th, Funding Your Graduate Education. I know that many of you, this is your primary question, or at least very highly important, right? Because it's important. This is funding the school so you can come here. You learn a lot about that, and then by October 23rd you should be able to have already all your materials in place. So we will have show you the platform and how to put your materials there, what do you need. So again, that's highly I encourage you to really come to that one as well. So you already have met the Pathways team that put the different workshops together. One that it was in person with about 30 participants, and the one that it was virtual with about 40 participants. Again, where your points of contact for this. And I set you up, and this was yesterday, everyone, all the participants with a mentor. So I move a little bit the timeline because I thought, again, for reaching up to potential advisors, it could be very beneficial for you to hear this first. And then also I want to say it took me a little bit longer to match you with a possible mentor. So this is what you should be doing. I already sent an email saying pairing you up with someone. I told you guys that you have to be the lead, right? So you have to be the one trying to set up these 30-minute meetings. And then the meetings are these. So the first one that you would do on July and August is introducing yourself, share a little bit about your interests, what are your goals, and learn about the projects that the faculty member is doing, and learn again more about Texas A&M and so on. And then for the second meeting, it's more about your materials. I have sent, I think, everyone some comments on your statement of purpose, and so I review that, and then the next step it will be for you to share that with the faculty advisor, and then you again can make changes, even right now, of some of the things that I said, and incorporate those. And then it will be also not only talking about the statement of purpose with them, but also sharing your CV and any other materials that they can look at, or even talking about who are you thinking for your recommendation letters, and are these good choices, and so on and so forth. And then the last one is if there's any remaining questions or anything else that you like to talk about, you can do that with the faculty mentor. And just like from, I wanted to say, because like sometimes like faculty, like right now, they, like, I don't know if you guys know, but like faculty get paid for 9 months of work, and then in the summer they really don't. They have like research projects, or doing other things. So they might take a little bit longer also to respond. So again, just like if like some of them might not respond, just like send an email and a kind of like a nudge for them. I will also like next week send an email. Hey, did you guys like connected? Just as a reminder. But again, this is like something that sometimes you have to get on the top of somebody's inbox, right? So don't be disencouraged if that happens. And then I think that this one's is like Katie. It's gonna be Katie. That you move also the slides on your own,
Um,
or should I?
no.
Yeah, let me just like stop sharing and maybe you can share the slides.
Oh,
It'd be
can you
easier.
just keep sharing that?
Oh, okay,
I
sure.
can't, yeah.
All right, just tell me next if you're
Okay,
ready.
thank you. Yeah, so today's session is going to focus on that advisor relationship and kind of give you a sense of one, what you should be thinking about right now before you're applying, but then also a little bit more of what to expect of what does it really mean to be an advisor, and some of the sort of terminology around it. So we say advisor sometimes, we say chair sometimes, we say committee. And so give you a little bit of a sense of what we're talking about. And the reason we're focusing on this is because this relationship, the advisor relationship, is so important during graduate school. It really shapes your graduate experience in a lot of ways. So, of course, it's going to shape your academic experience in terms of the final study, thesis, research project, dissertation, depending on if you're in a master's or doctoral program. They will definitely influence your sort of intellectual experience, but they're also going to influence your funding, your day-to-day sort of experience of being a grad student. And we talked about this some in Pathways, and we'll get to it more today about the importance of fit. So it's not just about subject matter alignment, although of course that is important. The whole idea behind it, right, is that this faculty advisor is going to be able to review, give guidance, and help move forward your research project, thesis, again, final study, whatever it might be. So they need to have some content area overlapping with you, right, to be able to do that effectively. That's not the only thing that matters, but it's a big piece of what matters. You also want to think about mentoring style, availability, and just, personality mesh and working style mesh. And so today we're going to give you some guidance about sort of what the advising relationship really entails, and then how to start approaching people, particularly for doctoral programs. Go ahead, Evis. Thank you. So I do want to say we're trying to give advice for both masters and doctorals. Some of this will be a little more salient for masters versus doctoral. So one big difference is that generally speaking, if you're in a master's or pursuing, applying to a master's program, you're really not expected to identify individual faculty that you want to work with before you apply. And so while doing some of that may enhance your application, it's not sort of a standard requirement. Admission for the master's program is really into the program and not necessarily associated with just, a one professor saying, yes, I want this student. I'll, sort of watch out for them and claim them, so to speak, right? Certainly, like I said, you can still mention your research interests and fit, but it's not as critical in that application. For those of you applying to our doctoral programs, though, it is much more common and I would say generally expected to name some faculty and perhaps to contact some faculty in advance. So So in the doctoral program, you're being recruited with a specific research program or research project or faculty specialization, right? And so in that case, we might, when I said a faculty member might claim you, if a faculty member knows they have a project going on, a grant, a research interest that fits very closely with yours, then they may say, yes, I really want this student in our program because they will help us elevate this, kind of lane of research. And uh, as you are going through this, I think that's one thing that you can talk about with your mentor too, is really get clearer expectations on what is sort of the norm for your specific program that you're interested in. Do you go and email a faculty right now? What is the recommended way that they ask you to reach out to their faculty? But the basic gist is, right, that the level that you're applying to, master's versus doctoral, will affect sort of how much um, outreach on your part is expected before you apply. So, advisor, committee chair, sometimes the language is can be confusing because we use words sort of interchangeably. So in this case, when we're talking about advisor, we're talking about a faculty advisor, right? So at Texas A&M, at least in our college, the way it works is that all programs have a graduate advisor who's a staff member who helps you kind of work through the logistics of, how do you register for courses? How do you access resources at the university? Those kinds of things. But you also have a faculty advisor who's helping you navigate the program in terms of the degree, your areas of interest, and also, sort of side projects, right? So maybe you're writing a paper with them along the way. And the advisor often becomes your committee chair. So for all of our doctoral programs and many of our master's programs, the final project, whether that's a thesis, a final studio project, a dissertation, right, all require a committee of 4 faculty to guide you through that final, whatever it is, final project. And so often that advisor will be your committee chair. Now, sometimes those things change along the way, right? And we'll talk about that. But the chair is really there to guide your project, right? Whether, again, thesis, research, whatever it may be, and approve that, yes, this is, a new piece of the knowledge area for a dissertation, or this takes the application in an interesting direction, right? So they're the kind of intellectual guidance throughout your graduate program. They're mentoring you. They're also helping advocate for funding for you. So that may mean, right, on a grant that they're going to apply to, they're going to try to help you have a spot on that grant so that they can fund you as a research assistant. That may mean finding teaching experience for you if you know that you want to become a faculty member. And so they're also advocating for you. And they're also there to make sure that you're hitting these milestones, right? And making it through degree progression in a timely manner, not just getting stalled out at, an early stage. And it's up to the student then to communicate proactively, to meet deadlines, and really be prepared with your own work and your own progress along the way, right? And own that progress along the way. Um, and it's really, I think, once where this is once you're here already, I'm thinking about, but um, finding that way that you're going to work together is really important in terms of having a productive working relationship and also, respecting each other's time and really getting whatever it is done. So, like I said, the goal is to have a productive relationship, right? That you are making it through your courses, making it through your additional, whether that's conference presentations, community engagement type work, publications, all of those things. And the way you do that is through honest, professional communication, right? That includes clear expectations, frequent check-ins, if you know, establishing, I think, early on, how are we going to meet? How are we going to talk to each other? Are we having weekly in-person meetings? Are we doing email? Are we, thinking through all of those things? It's also very common to change advisors, right? So the advisor that you identify, or the faculty members that you identify in your application, may not wind up being the chair of your dissertation, right? And that's okay. That happens. I think I shared during one of the Pathways sessions, my statement of purpose and everything that I said in my application to graduate school was wonderful, and very little of it actually happened. That as you go through, you wind up narrowing down your area of interest, and you realize, oh, maybe this is taking me a different direction, or maybe a new faculty member comes along who you can work with, and it works even better. But that advisor is really there to help guide you through all of that, and to help form your committee. So the advisor as chair is really the lead on advising and mentoring, but they can also help you think through, like, ooh, you're going to do something qualitative. You should really get someone who's excellent at qualitative methodology to help round out your research project. I also want to mention one of the great things that we have at A&M, in addition to, of course, your program faculty, your program graduate advising staff. The Graduate and Professional School also has a lot of professional development available for our graduate students. So they have a series called Grad Aggies. Grad is an acronym, and I can't remember what it stands for, but it's professional development, right? So how do you navigate conversations with your advisor? How do you practice giving conference presentations? All of these kind of professional development pieces that you need along the way. They have workshops, they have working groups, they have writing groups, those kinds of things that can help you through. And they also have something called Grad Mentoring Academy, where they really talk you through sort of the 7 competencies of mentoring, and not just being able to advocate for yourself, but transitioning as you're a grad student. It's not unusual that maybe you're also a mentor to someone else, right? That to an undergrad, or to a newer, junior grad student. And so Texas A&M does have a lot of resources to help you navigate this advisor relationship while you're here as well. So you want to identify for that committee. Like I said, in most cases, you're going to need a committee of 4 faculty members. And this is not something you should worry about on day one, right? Day one, you've got a lot of other things to worry about when you're a student. But you should be planning your approach to your graduate studies with this in mind, that I would like to, right? Every student is going to need 4 people. So take your time, take courses with different faculty, right? Of course, if you have an advisor, or you think you already know who your chair is, the temptation may be to really focus only on that relationship, but you really need to get to know other faculty and have them get to know you too, and look for research or specializations, right, that can align with your interests. Um, like I said, you're going to aim for 3 names, especially right now as you're preparing your application materials. I think generally the advice is that you should be able to identify 2 to 3 people in the department who you think are, a legitimate fit for your interests, and then be able to articulate how the interests overlap or span across the department or those faculty. You also want to reach out clearly and thoughtfully, right? So if you just say, hey, your research is really interesting. Will you be, will you be my advisor, right? That's probably not a sufficient or compelling message for the faculty member to receive. So we'll help you think through, like, how do you approach that? We're going to get to that later on. And then this first approach that you're going to make in the next couple of months can really make an impression, right? And carry you through not just the application process, but into your graduate studies. So you do want to put some thought and time behind really doing some research on the faculty and what their research areas are. Is this me still, Evis, or do you want to do this one?
I can do this one if it's
Okay.
a, um, yeah, so this one is like actually something I did notice in the statement of purpose. I noticed that also in the chat, some of you maybe didn't get it. It could be that I didn't get your statement of purpose because it wasn't uploaded, or maybe you sign up a little bit after, I did that. So that's like the possibilities, or maybe I just missed it. So just email me. But like when I like sent everyone the statement of purpose back, something I did notice that were like, again, just kind of red flags for me is that you were saying that you wanted to do like a PhD in a particular program, let's say like the urban and regional science program, but then you name all the faculty or the majority of the faculty in architecture. So that it tells me that you actually want to study architecture, if that makes sense, because then the advisors or the potential people are in that department. And maybe that's a comment that I did gave you. So again, it's like I think that when you look at the faculty, be careful about like trying to identify faculty that are actually in that department. And if you're like unsure, you can always like now when you meet with like your faculty advisor, which I know it is in the program of your interest, then you can say, I'm thinking about so and so, these are my interests, and these are also I see as potential people that can guide me, right? Just like you can make sure. But that was it, right there. And then I don't know if you want to take the next one, Katie, or
Sure. I think you also want to make sure that you can really make a good argument for fit, right? So having the faculty member making it obvious that there is a genuine overlap between what you're interested in and what they're doing. So a couple of examples here about why the faculty member may say it's not a good fit if the interests are too far apart, where they really don't see maybe a place that right that your interests could really overlap with their work. And then another example may be like a methods mismatch, right? So you say you're really interested in data and want to learn all of the latest, quantitative methodologies, and that's not really what they do. And the faculty member, again, this isn't necessarily like a personality issue or a weakness, right, of your application. It just means that that's not a good fit for that person. Because the faculty member is also thinking about, will I be able to guide this person adequately? And if this student comes to me with a lot of questions on this area, I may not feel like I'm really well equipped to support them. Again, this is not always a deal breaker, right? So there are ways that you can get a second advisor. So we have a role called co-chair. But I think at least when you're applying, it needs to be very clear that there's some overlap in what you're interested in and what that faculty member does. And I think faculty can tell pretty quickly if it's genuine or not versus, oh, I'm just I'm just trying to get in, so I'll say I'm interested in anything, right? Um, so as far as reaching out, again, start now. This is when, as you have your paired mentors, you're getting feedback on your work, you have some time before applications are due to really look through faculty lists, look through faculty CVs and articles, recent publications, check out their lab websites, right? Or if they're affiliated with a research center, see what they're doing, see what current projects are going on. If you can reference specifics about a current, a recent paper, or a project that you've seen that they're involved with, that is really an excellent way to make it clear that you are taking the time and effort on your side to really get to know what that match is. You do want to keep it short, right? A long email is immediately gonna turn people off. But so get to the point, be concise in what your initial ask is. And again, avoid those sort of very generic emails or nothing, no specific questions or anything that the faculty member can actually respond to. All right, so we're going to get to our panel. I'm sorry. I'll allow, I know I think I see everyone here. So if it works, I'm just gonna, except I can't see everyone at the same time. I'm gonna just call on who I see first to introduce themselves. So Leslie, will you introduce yourself?
Hi, Dr. Katie and Dr. Ibis and everyone at the panel. Thank you so much for the invitation. My name is Leslie Martinez. I am a rising four-year PhD student. Currently, I am working on the intersections of housing recovery, informal communities, and community development. I specifically am focusing on the case of Puerto Rico, which I'm very interested with. As you can see, I'm original from Puerto Rico as well. And also I will be here answering any question that you have. So please feel free to drop your questions in the chat. I will be looking at them and happy to meet everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Dr. Klein.
Good morning for those of you in the AM time zones around the world. My name is Nancy Klein. I'm a faculty member in the Department of Architecture, where I have been for the last 20 years now. And I am a specialist in the history of architecture with ties specifically to the ancient Mediterranean world. And as somebody who focuses on humanities-based research in a professional program, I contribute in different ways, and that I might not necessarily be an architect, but my work touches on architectural history, heritage, and topics which intersect with urban planning, architecture, and conservation and heritage management. Happy to answer any questions, and we do not technically get paid for the summer, but most of us as good citizens are happy to reply to students via email. So happy to answer questions in the chat, but you can also reach out by email if you have any questions that occur to you afterwards. Thank you for allowing me to join the discussion.
Thanks, Nancy. All right, Dr. Zhu.
Well, hello everyone. My name is Xuemei Zhu. I'm a faculty member in Department of Architecture. I guess I've been here for 18 years. So yeah, time flies by. So I work in the area of design for health in general, and more specifically, design for active living, promotion of physical activity, evidence-based healthcare design, school and workplace design, and also recently I'm doing some more work around the use of technology in providing better care. So I will be happy to answer questions either during the meeting or afterward. But like Katie was mentioning, always more personalized email that don't send email to 100 faculty members. That's so generic that no one feel the motivation to respond. Yeah, thank you.
All right, Dr. Dixon.
Hi everyone, this is Manish Dixit. I'm an associate professor in the Department of Construction Science, and I'm an Aggie. I came to this campus in 2007, never moved out of here. So I graduated from here and then became a faculty member. I do research in life cycle assessment, green building materials, bio-based materials. I look at carbon emissions, operational embodied carbon, greenhouse gas emissions of building construction activities, and quantify that. I also do a lot of optimization of energy use in buildings, again, life cycle. I also do AI. Now we are developing some machine learning and deep learning algorithms to help us evaluate buildings' emissions, energy use. A part of my research also goes into human technology interaction, in which I looked at virtual reality, mixed reality, and extended reality, how these different sort of visualization technologies influence human cognition. Especially, I'm looking at spatial cognition in space during space exploration activities on ISS, Moon, and Mars. So this is my research area, and I'm happy to answer any questions, provide any feedback. I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. And then Dr. Ariel.
Okay. Hi everyone. I'm Osrant Arial. I'm an assistant professor in the Department of Construction Science. I've been here since 2020, and my research area is mostly human building interactions. So looking at how our indoor environment impacts humans, how can we operate our buildings in a more energy efficient way. And I do all of that through smart connected devices. AI and machine learning is a big part of my research. And I also do some work on kind of applications of AI in construction. Uh, I think this discussion has been great. I will add one more thing. I think regarding all of the generic, don't copy paste your emails to professors. More recently, I've been getting a lot of emails that are just plain AI generated, and I just ignore them. So maybe spend a little bit more time and effort to learn about the faculty and their research and tell them why you're interested, other than just, asking ChatGPT to do it for you, because everyone does it, and I stopped responding to those emails.
Maybe let's skip down to that one, just going off that that comment, a couple of comments. Can you talk about each of you, or if you have examples that you want to share about what makes the most effective outreach emails, or if you have a worst example, or just general advice about, yeah, we can tell when you're just using AI and and we're not, we don't love that. Anyone want to start?
I can start if that, in my opinion, that you had to, get, you have to catch the interest of your potential advisor. And there are multiple ways in which you can do that. As Ashram and Shume and Nancy talked about, don't use generic email. But what can you do to actually capture the interest of your advisor? There are multiple ways. The first is, study what that advisor is doing. Understand what he or she has been doing. What is it that you can contribute to his or her research area? So that is one way. And sometimes, the other strategy work, which is, you can always pose a research direction in your email and say, hey, you know what? This has been done a lot, but this has not been achieved. And I want to pursue that. And sometimes I at least selected 2 students based on that even though they are not exactly in alignment with what I was doing, but I really like the research direction. And they could not see how it aligns with my research area, but I could see that how it actually could build upon my research area and actually make it much more advanced. So not only connecting to their current research and making some really good arguments, but also coming up with some really interesting research ideas or questions or inquiries that you may want to pursue, will definitely get their interest. Thank you.
I'd like to step in and also remind people that faculty have three aspects in which we are expected to contribute to an R1 research university. Research is first and foremost, and you can find out more about our research by tracking us online, department college directories, CVs that are listed. But I would also urge you to, and I think you can get access to the list of courses that we teach, right? Because our courses often show our direct impact on a program at both the undergraduate and the graduate level. And in my experience, some of my PhD students have had experience teaching, which is a valuable resource to me that I can mentor them in the context of teaching at Texas A&M, but they bring their own understanding, experience, and expertise, which is enormously valuable. So I would urge you to look as far as you can in understanding ways in which faculty contribute to the program, both in their research and in their teaching. The third area of service you will usually pick up from a CV. And this is where it can be very important to understand the professional organizations that your faculty are members of. They may even have leadership positions in these national and international organizations. And that should start to draw a bigger picture for you. And again, this is called pathways, right? So, how does this help you envision and articulate your path to the profession? And how do you connect specifically with what faculty members do and how that can provide an introduction and resources for you?
So if I can jump in, I want to first second comment related to more personalized approach. Definitely showcase your general knowledge of the field you're interested in pursuing, your knowledge of the advisor you are potentially like hoping to connect with in general. And if you have a specific question, either for this particular faculty member's work or for the general field you're interested in, we really appreciate that. That's really helpful. But I also want to step back a little bit. I think beyond the email, there are other approaches too. So in general, you want to be aware and stay kind of on top of the latest development in the particular field you are interested in. That could mean latest publication in general, important professional or research group, and which could be beyond one specific department. But in general, because if you're really intellectually motivated, you would naturally do that, right? That really shows through in your communication, the way you describe your interests. And depending on where you are, it may be suitable and possible for you to also attend some of the academic conferences where you have the opportunity to meet a lot of potential advisors. So, like I know, like I'm in architecture, so some of the ACSA conference, for example, but also in planning ACSP. So, especially ACSP, I think it's really good forum for a lot of potential students to reach out to potential faculty members. Some program offer kind of meeting opportunities, right? So if you want to take it one step further, if you are even presenting some of your work, so if you are in a master program now but applying for a PhD, you may also be presenting at some of the conferences. So those are all great opportunities. One way is you passively reach out to others in that sense because you are trying to introduce yourself. But when you're presenting at these conferences, you are being seen by like multiple faculty members who do work in this area. So kind of like email itself is very important for you to get that personal connection. But overall, as you think about your career professional development, seeking graduate education, I think that's kind of driven by your interest. Naturally, you will have those kind of combination of different approaches that will help you to get connected with a leading scholar, faculty member, potentially for multiple programs that will be good fit for you. Yeah.
Thank you all. I'm going to sort of combine the first and second there about what is your advice to students about how they should be thinking about choosing an advisor? And then also from your perspective as a faculty member, how do you choose an advisee? And Leslie as well, if you want to chime in on this one.
I can start. By the way, I echo everything that everyone has been sharing so far in the panel. I do want to highlight a few things. I was reflecting on this yesterday, and I think people doesn't say it out loud, but choosing the right advisor is the most important thing because it has a mental health impact on the PhD student. And one of the questions that I always bring with me when I am interviewing my potential committee members, I want to know what is their current availability. And I want to get a better sense of how much they can invest on me as a mentee. I ask them directly, and usually I talk with other senior students who are currently being advised by those potential advisors. I want to get a real picture. Um, and I also find very useful to look at their positionality. I want to know the person's positionality. That's a, you know, not everyone is very committed on service. And I think a huge part of service is mentoring the students. Sometimes not this is not the case in here, to be very honest. And I think that has not been my experience in here. And that's why I choose to be in this program and this school. But something that I have seen from the different experiences and the different places that I've been is that not everyone understands that this is a mutual beneficial relationship. They are looking at what can I take away from this student? And this is important reflective question because we as PhD students, sometimes we underestimate our value. And something that I always remember was something that one of my mentors told me one day. You are here because you are going to contribute something. You have something that none of us has. And I think it's important for you to understand and know what are your contributions. If you are not aware of that, you're going to have a bad experience because you're going to be in a position where you're not going to be well at balancing your job and your mentors research. So you have to also be in a position where you balance both things. You cannot abandon your own projects because that's why you came here at the first place. And I think that, like I say, one way for me to identify their positionality is for me to look at their CVs. I want to see, I want to specifically look at their service area section in the CV. You will get a better sense on how invested and how committed they are to that piece. It's not only important that they have a big name. It's not only important that they are top ranked, um, in citations, like they have published on the best journals over there. But you have to make sure that they are also kind people and they treat fairly their students. And a good way to know that is also to look, hey, how they're investing in their students. Like Patty was mentioned before, she mentioned, are they advocating for a spot in their grant projects? Because Esteban is one part, but you also have the opportunity to supplement your pathway with external funding, or they will put you those fellowships on your radar, like Dr. Iris did for me. She put me some fellowships on my radar when I got here, and it was my responsibility to take the lead and apply to all of them, but your mentors are there also to provide you with the resources and to tell you, hey, look at this, maybe not this time, but next year you might qualify for this. So but it's your job to do it. Like, we have a responsibility here. And I think the other thing that I want to remind is that everyone here is a human being. So I want to make sure to always, always, always show appreciation and kindness. I think this is a red flag. When I say PhD students and this is the PhD student not only reach out to the professors, they also reach out to us, the PhD students. Sometimes, if I see that the student was not like very appreciative and kind, I didn't receive any thank you note at the end. That's something that, that's a red flag over there, and we have the when you come to the site visits, the professors or your potential mentors, they are not only looking at how you treat them, they're also looking at how well you engage with everybody. And when I say everybody, I mean the PhD students, I mean the staff members, I mean Dr. Caddy, I mean everyone around us. And I think that that's something to keep in mind. And if at the end of the day you decide not to go with that potential advisor, it's not going to kill you to send a thank you note. And maybe look at other further opportunities on how to engage in the future with that person. And it's okay not to choose the person, and it's okay to send them like an email letting them know what was the outcome at the end of the day. And I think that was something that was very useful for me because that's how you develop these professional relationships. And this is how I have developed my professional relationships. And I think sometimes PhD students doesn't have the best reputation on understanding how important is the human component. And I think this goes all over on academia, but we have to do better. If we want to join the academic space, and we want to change it, we need to be better human beings. So that I think that's all I wanted to add.
Thank you. Any of the other faculty want to share about either, advice for students at this stage or, what you're looking for as far as how you choose an advisee?
Let me echo some of Leslie's perspectives, which are all extraordinarily valuable and timely. From a faculty perspective, keeping in mind that many of us write letters of recommendation for students who are pursuing graduate school, and we're on the receiving end of those as well. And so among the things, and just to kind of focus on specific details, Dr. Zhu mentioned, are you interested in the field? Have you demonstrated an understanding of where we are? And I would call that intellectual maturity, right? That you're not just an enthusiast. I want to do great things, right? Well, tell me specifically, right? How advanced are you in your thinking about the field and your role in it? But then echoing the personal side of this, personal responsibility and personal motivation. I cannot provide you with motivation. I can provide you with incentives, but one of the key factors in a successful PhD process is having the student take ownership, responsibility in coordination with their mentors to be successful, right? Think of it as a team where everybody brings an expertise, a motivation, and a responsibility. And so those are qualities that go both ways, right? As Leslie said, you want to have a faculty member who is motivated to support you. You have to demonstrate to them that you're on board and willing to put in the work to be successful. So that side of the relationship going two ways, I think, is an important consideration.
Just to add, it just when you talk about reaching out potential advisors, one email can read that I want this job, I want this position. The other email can read that, oh, I'm so excited about this and I want to do this. We cannot write email for you. ChatGPT cannot write this for you. It can only demonstrate, or you can only demonstrate it through how you're approaching it. So align your interests with the topic, align your interest with the research field, with the faculty members, get familiarized with his or her research areas, what as I said, what interesting inquiries you can bring to the table. That is the way to go, because most of us, as Ashton said, we get probably dozens of email. But there are some emails that I look at, like, okay, there is something in there. I also, when I open the CVs and look at, okay, he or she has published in this area, or if not published, they had demonstrated through practice or through industry experience or something that, yeah, they are highly interested in this area. So as I said, like, this is not a job application. This is much more than that. So don't sound like you want this job because there is no other job available. Make sure you sound like you are interested in this and show your interest through either your inquiry or your past performance. Demonstrate that, and that would really help you.
I really like that advice and approach to it, because I think it signals that the students are really aware of what they're getting into. A master's or a PhD, you may have a job while you're doing it, but it's hard. It requires commitment, right? And so if you don't approach it with that knowledge in mind, it, it it it's not a good signal, right, from the faculty's perspective, that this person may not be fully committed to what they're really signing up for.
Yeah, and just to give an example, like sometimes you may not know, but we talk to each other, faculty members. And I can guarantee you, so many times, one of my colleagues will send me an email. I'm like, yeah, I know. This person has been contacting all faculty members. That's not good, because all you are doing is you're shopping for a position. So just be careful, because we all talk to each other. We all share emails. Hey, I may not have a position, but here is someone who has just contacted me. And then you realize that actually he or she has contacted 10 faculty members in a department. So that's not going to help. It's going to hurt you. So just be careful that it's a very interest forward position. Or it's a very interest forward career. If you don't have interest, just don't go for it. It's not advisable.
And the faculty talking to each other can also work to a student's advantage, right? That maybe I'm not quite seeing the fit here, but I know my colleagues work really well, and I can see that this might actually be something a good fit for a colleague, right? So there may be a way that if you've put in the thoughtfulness and crafting sort of your own um, or articulating your own interests, and then even if you maybe misunderstand or misstate the overlap, that faculty member may be able to help send it over to somebody else's desk to say, hey, I think this one might actually be a better fit for you. And then there can be some subsequent questions or conversations from that.
Yeah, and I have seen that it has happened in past that Dr. Ripkowski received an email, and then she forwarded that to me, and then we both decided, okay, you know what? I think this applicant has a lot of potential, but it's only we two that received that email. It's like, it's not that you cannot contact multiple people, but if you're contacting Dr. Ripkowski and Dr. Dixit, who are in sustainable construction, it makes sense. Right? But if you're contacting somebody who's also working in construction safety, project management, everywhere, then it shows that you're just, shopping,
Ashan, did you want to add something?
Oh, Manish just said what I was
Okay.
about to say, right? Like contacting multiple faculty is okay as long as there is the main thing is you are interested in a certain research area, but it doesn't have to be super specific that, oh, this is the only thing I want to do, right? So me and Manish, we both work on energy efficient buildings, and that's a fairly broad area, and we have very different research directions. But if a student contacts us both, we're like, okay, this student is really interested in sustainable buildings, right? But if someone is going and contacting everyone in all other fields, then it's like, okay, this student is just fishing for options. And then the other thing that I would really like to add is every email is going to say, I am interested in joining your lab. But the more you can demonstrate through prior experience or evidence that you are actually interested, the stronger your case is, right? And we understand we get applicants from all over the world and different countries, you will have different opportunities. So maybe in your country you don't have the opportunity to work on a research project or write a paper or get published. Those are, not everyone has those opportunities, but then to say, okay, oh, I actually did this side project because I was really interested, or in my work, this is what I did and this is relevant. I did a literature review. I wrote some code. I made this cool project. Here's my GitHub, right? For me, this is like, okay, I do a lot of AI, machine learning related work. And if someone says, oh, I was really interested in this, I learned these on my own, and look at the project I did, I'm like, okay, this person is actually interested, right? So I think anything, and that might be very different for the research topics that people are working on, but anything to demonstrate your interest really helps.
One last thing I would just add quickly is that just just be careful about the skills and their tools. When you talk to or you send an email, skill is vision based. You know, tools are machine learning. Machine learning is not a skill, it is a tool. And anybody can learn it within a month or two, whatever. You can program, but the skill in machine learning is a different aspect. How you design algorithms, how do you place different codes, how do you connect different tools? That's a skill. So again, going back to writing, yeah, I can write Python code. It's not gonna help you. But demonstrate, okay, using that tool, what can you do within this broad domain of AI? It's just an example. What can you do? What can you improve in machine learning, deep learning? Those things are the most important. So just show them that, hey, here is what I can do for you. And machine learning, deep learning is just one example, but it can be applied to any field. So just distinguish between the tools like Excel and your capacity, your capability to do things.
Yeah, and just to expand a little bit, I mean the ultimate quality that makes a brilliant researcher and a PhD student is your ability to think critically and kind of come up with new ideas and get them through execution. So some of the tools using them has become easier with AI. Like, yeah, you don't need to be an expert in writing code anymore, but you still need to be able to think and solve problems, right? So I think demonstrating those skills and what used to be more relevant in the past has also been changing. So in the past, I really needed students with very strong programming skills because without that, there would be a very long time that they would be able to start producing. But now I don't value it as much, and I value their ability to solve problems more. Because then if they know the solution, they can think of a solution, they can implement it really quickly, right? So things change over time as well, and it's important to make sure you are highlighting your skills that are more relevant as things change.
All right, thank you. I know we answered some questions along the way in the chat. If you have more questions, certainly you can email me or Evis, Dr. Garcia, or any of the faculty panelists, and Leslie, I think I'll speak for her that she would be happy to answer questions as well. And I think, Dr. Garcia, did you want to share the last bit of, I know we're at time, but just the email outreach template? Do you want to go over that part real quick or?
Oh, yeah, sure. Let's go. So all of you again are like connected to faculty, but the idea is that you might contact other faculty as well outside of the mentors. So let me see. Okay, yeah. So this is just like a template. So it's like again something general about like who you are, where you're coming from. Could say here, you know, where you graduated, and just like any other details, something that captures the attention. Then we already said like the why specifically you're contacting them is very important. Try to be very specific on what that is and how your you and connects again to the interests of the faculty. And then you could say like what you're asking, like this again might be just saying if they're taking students. Most of us are taking students, right? So, but that sometimes is like it's a question that you can ask. Some people might not be taking students in the future. This is again mostly for the PhD, I will say, and then. Sometimes just kind of like the process might be different in departments. Sometimes people do like sort of like PhD interviews, which are like kind of informal ahead of time. So for example, I did this with like Leslie when like she came here. So it's like I didn't do like a formal interview, but you know, any interaction was kind of like an interview, right? Just kind of ahead of time of like the applications, and then sometimes like for the committees they might wait, right, and then they have the formal interview later. So it kind of depends, but the point being is like you might ask for like a brief like call, or again you might ask something in the email itself, and then just like attach the CV, thank them. I think that there was like Leslie made a great point about always being appreciative, and then just I think that again if you can use this template, that would be great. You have also the slides for this. Next thing I would just be sending the recording of this. I also, if it's okay, I didn't include the emails of like everyone who was part of it, but then I will do that in my follow-up email. And then I guess that the next one, as you know, is like August 28th. The other thing, I think that this will benefit for longer sessions instead of 1 hour. I think, Katie, I'm going to change this to an hour and a half so people can have the time to ask for questions. Again, we are very appreciative of everyone this morning for coming in. I know that some of you are different time zones. Thank you for joining us, and thank you to all the panelists for all the nuggets of wisdom that you have provided here. So everything very valuable. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. I'm putting 1 or 2 more answers in the chat. So I will sign off soon, and Dr. Garcia will follow up. Thank you all for joining us.
Right.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
And I see, yeah, there's like, maybe I can stay for like 5 minutes if is it Abdul and Justice, if you have questions.
Yes, you hear me? This is Justice.
Yes.
Yes, I'll probably just want to ask 2 questions. And my first question is, right now we've been paired with one faculty. So
Yeah.
do we encourage we just contact that faculty, or we can reach out to other faculty
Yeah,
members, Dr.
You can reach out to other faculty, yeah, but I will just like try to contact that faculty, and then you can tell them, like I identified this other faculty that I think it would be great for my research. What do you think? So
All
just
right.
kind of like it's good to get their opinion also in terms of like are those faculty like really a good fit for you. And then again, that information will be very valuable before you go on and ask like them directly, if that makes sense.
Okay, thank you. My last question is, as a graduate student, I'm also graduate research assistant right now, Norfolk State University Masters. My department had a grant for a project, and this project is not directly urban planning. It was something on cyber security, funded by NSF. So I was actually put on this project, which I actually went for two conferences, made two conference
Yeah.
presentations. So is it necessary to mention this project and my conference presentations since I'm applying for PhD in urban and regional planning? I mean,
Yeah,
regional
of course, yeah.
services?
That's the kind of thing that we're looking for, right? That you have
Okay,
engaged in previous like research. Obviously, you were funded. You have going to conferences. Yes, anything that is like that, you need to add to the statement of purpose as well as your CV.
I was just only thinking because it's not typically
Doesn't
urban
matter.
planning project, so I was
It
kind of
doesn't
okay.
matter. Yeah.
All right, all right, okay,
Anything that is research, it's included. Like
okay,
even if it's entirely like something different, right? That's
all
okay.
right,
Even if
okay,
also it's under your undergrad as well, or any programs, fellowships that you participated related to research should be included.
all right. Thank you.
Yeah. And then I think that Abdul was next, and then Watson.
Uh, Professor, good day. I have just two brief questions.
Yes.
We received the email about mentorship. So, if I'm not wrong, like we are supposed to email those professors who are willing to mentor us. Am I right?
Yes. Yes, so I sent an
Uh,
email, right, with your faculty member. The next step is for you to say, yes, I love like meeting with you. I found your work on X, Y, and Z very interesting. This is kind of like how it relates to my own work. I love to set up the 30-minute meeting with you during like this time. And then this time meaning like, either you can say, I think that the email already says that it's kind of like June. You can say in June, right? Preferably in June,
okay.
right? And then you can say I'm very available, generally available, or you can say this time or dates work for me. You can even use like I don't know if you guys have like, but most professors have like a Calendarly or like sometimes like in Gmail or in Zoom. There's like ways that people can make appointments with you. You can provide a link, but if not, you can just tell them their generally availability, or you can say, would you be available? What works best for you, and then just leave it at them. And then they might be even busy, right? So then it's like you can also make it more flexible for them, and then just say that you're generally available, and they can either send you their Calendarly or whatever it is to set up that meeting. But it will be your responsibility to do the first approach after that.
Okay, thank you so much. And there is one another short question. You guys were discussing something about SOP because I joined a little late. So isn't that the thing for later stages for our application, or we have to send some sort of SOP in that outreach email also?
So for the second month, like, or later, you can do that, because that's kind of like what the email says. Like for now, it should just to be kind of like more like general. So it's like, talk about, introduce yourself, talk about your interests. I mean, you could do that, but at this point, I would just put the CV. Although like for the next meeting, again, it's like they review those things. But I think that it would be better if you don't give them like a lot of work now. You know what I mean? They get to know you. They just meet with you. It's a short meeting. Then they can be more invested in you, and then you are obviously they are also expected on like looking at the SOP. But this is just kind of like in general for any outreach that you do to faculty. I'm assuming that you're not only applying to Texas A&M, but you should take what you're learning and apply to other programs as well. That you do not give them too much work or too much expectations. I think just doing something a little bit more light is good at the beginning, if that makes sense.
Okay, thank you. That was fantastic, Professor. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And then Watson, you had a question? Watson, do you have a question?
Yes, I have a question. Please.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to know exactly what is the best moment a student can contact a professor to speak with a faculty member.
So I think that right now, because you're like I already have people contacting me. So I think that is fine. What I was saying about like the that again faculty like they work for 9 months. So some of them are very strict and they're like, oh, I'm not being paid, so I don't want to answer emails during this time and all that. I think that most of us will answer emails during this time as well. So I would say just do it now, right? And again, like a lot of people start doing it at the beginning of the semester, but I feel that that might be a good time maybe to follow up or something like that. But remember that you have to put your application for the PhD students is by December 1st. So I think that again you might leave it for August and September, but the earlier that you start, I think that the better. So I would say just now is a good time. And then, did I answer your question?
Yes.
All right, good. And then again, like you're being paired with someone, so they know about this. Just like also, you can ask these types of questions. And then Isaac.
Thank you very much. Yes, Doctor, we've received the emails with regard to our faculty chairperson that we're supposed to contact them. But
Yeah.
my issue is that there was no an email there was no email that was sent so that we can
Okay,
use
yeah.
that as a
So just email me. So
just
I can
email.
like,
Okay.
yeah, email me.
Okay. All right. Thank you
Yeah.
very much.
Yeah. And then Sola.
Well, thank you. I would like to know if their papers are available online.
If the what?
Their papers, they are advised that you
Oh, their
should.
papers. Well, I think that again, you can go to the faculty's web page, and then find what are the publications. You can also go to Google Scholar, and then try to find the publications. So the issue is this: like some articles are under like a paywall. So if you're a current student at a university right now, you should be able to access the publication. However, faculty members have many publications, and many of those are also like just like in an open journal. So some of them will be like you just click in the Google with the number, which is like the DOI, and you can find a link to the publication there. But again, it's gonna be mixed. Some of them are gonna be in a wall, and other ones are not. So again, like for instance, I don't know if like yeah, I'm sharing here. So if I want, you go to Google Scholar, like if I find, myself, you can find here if there's things that appear here. So some of them are open, like this one, for instance. So you might like click in there and then you find the publication, but some of them are going to be closed and you might not be able to find it. So I guess that this one is in academia. Sometimes if you go in academia and this means that I put it in academia myself. So if you go here, you need to sign in with academia, and then you need to request it, and it might take a little bit for you to get it. But this doesn't directly go to the actual journal itself, but then some of them might go directly to the journal itself, and that means that I didn't put it publicly available, and you could not access it unless you have like some access through your university. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. I don't know if anyone else have any other questions. I could stay for just a few more minutes. All right, so I see that people don't have any questions, but if you do, just like feel free to email me. All of you go here because I email you, so you should have my email, and that's like how you contact me. Well, thank you very much. Everyone keep having a great day, and I look forward to connecting with you later. Take care. Bye.